All right, so good day to another lesson with R and big data. So we're done with data grouping data via C, and we'll proceed with grouping data via data frame. So for data frame, if you want to, it's like a spreadsheet actually. If you want to contain multiple C or in a table fashion, you may use data frame. So this is an example. Just be worried that there should be a balance. If the content is six, for example, six variables or six components, then everything should be six. In this portion, for example, this one has seven, while this one has six, and this also one has six. So that's wrong. This is a six content. These are seven, uh, six, five, four, and seven, and then six. That's why this is incorrect. Because on the other hand, this one is also incorrect because there should be a comma in here. If you can remember the principles of comma, it should be observed. So why don't we uh, go to our R and see how is that? So this is an example. We have GDP per years, GDP values, and population. And then if we're going to create a data frame, data.frame, let me zoom that in so that you can see and starts from scratch. We can have, let's say, uh, we first, of course, have to import this to the environment so that all of this data will be transferred to the environment, stored to the environment, where we can call or retrieve later. For example, GDP per years, we start with years, and then comma, GDP values. Now, if you notice, there's no more comma if these all the rows that all the columns that we want. So that's it. So there we have it. We have GDP years, values. Some tip, if you want to, of course, save space, you may delete the position. It doesn't matter as long as the comma is correctly oriented. So this will also work. Now, if you noticed, we can also include the population. We can manually calculate inside the data frame, or also if we want to calculate, let R calculate the per column, especially when we are dealing with a large set of data or a big data. Of course, it's impossible for us to calculate each variable or each cell or each row and column. So what we do is we allow the program to calculate in behalf of us. So what is again, for example, the GDP per capita, that is GDP divided by population of the said place, that will be GDP per capita. That's why we divide that. Will this work? Of course, this will work. There we have it. And of course, you can place this inside a container, let's say dataset borrow 143, borrow 143. So if you notice, borrow 143 will now be included there. And when we open that, there we have it. That's an example. Now, if you notice, this one doesn't have any column, but this one do have first column, second column, third column. So whichever you place in here, that will be the name of the column. So an example of this one doesn't have any column. Matrix starts with 1, not 0. Now, unang column, second, and column the third, if you notice. There we have it. So first column, second column, third. All right. Now, what if I want column third with a space? Well, you may do that. Let's say I want population of borrow 143. This will not work unless I specifically add a parenthesis. It's now saying that this is now a sentence. So that works. And then, of course, if I call that, there we have it. Borrow that population dot 413. And if I go in here, there we have it. Here's another example. So let's say it's a Munting is a small house or a humble house with a lot of cats. So we have Brownie, Whitey, Miming Choco, Asteroid Destroyer. Those are the name of the cats. And then we have what are the name of pet foods, etc. So that's that. With that, we are done with groupings data via data frame.